Hello guys, welcome to another video of Azure DevOps. In this video, we are going to see how we can integrate AWS with Azure DevOps pipelines. Okay, how we can achieve the task which we are doing in AWS with Azure DevOps CI/CD pipelines, and how we can create continuous integration pipeline, and how we can deploy our contents or deploy our services or whatever you can say in AWS. Okay, so let's begin the video. Here I am in AWS documentation. You can see about AWS and what is AWS. Okay, so this is you can say a leading cloud provider like Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud, which generally most of the organizations use these days. Okay, so we'll see how we can connect to AWS with our Azure pipelines, and if you have some requirement to deploy artifact or deploy some code or deploy your infra or do something with AWS in Azure pipelines, this is how you can follow and do it. Okay, so now this is Azure DevOps. I am in my Azure DevOps project. Here in organization, you will have to go to organization setting, and there is an extension for AWS. We'll be going and installing that. Go to extensions and browse marketplace. If you type AWS here, you should see something like, okay, so this is the one, AWS Toolkit for Azure DevOps. You will have to install this. There are multiple options for it, many extensions with AWS name. So these many are coming. Most of these are not the official ones. So let's install the official one, which is from Amazon. You can say this is from Amazon.com. Okay, if you have to install it, you can click on get it free. If you need details about this, you can see what are the things you can achieve with these extensions. Okay, these are the features we get if you install these extensions. Okay, now go and let me click on get it free. Here select your organization. If you have multiple organizations inside your Azure DevOps, you will have to select the correct one. So this is my correct one. I will click on install. If you are using Azure DevOps server, you can click on the download button below to download this file for Azure DevOps server. Okay, now click on proceed to organization. The extension has been installed. You can verify by refreshing this page. You can see the first extension. This is the one which we have installed it, and you can see this is just installed. Okay, now let's go to the project and create a pipeline, a simple pipeline, and see how what are the tasks generally we get with that extensions. We get almost most of the tasks which we generally use to connect with AWS. Click on starter pipeline, and if you go and click on show assistant here and type AWS, you'll get so many tasks here. Okay, like Amazon ECR pull. This will pull a Docker image from an Amazon Elastic Container Registry. If you want to push the image to container registry, Amazon Container Registry, you can use this task. Like this, we are getting many of the tasks. If you want to download something, download some file or folder from your S3 bucket, you can select it. If you want to upload some files in S3, you can use this task. Okay, Like this, if you want to run AWS CLI commands, okay, you can use the AWS CLI. If you have something to work with AWS Cloud Formation, you can use this task. Okay, if you want to use AWS code deploy and you want to deploy some application with that, you can select this task and do that. Okay, like this we get so many tasks related to Elastic Beanstalk, AWS Lambda.core functions. If you have some Lambda functions to deploy in AWS, you can use all the tasks. Okay, AWS Lambda deploy function. This will deploy the Lambda function in AWS, and this task you can use to invoke an Lambda function. Like this, we have so many tasks to update the secret, to get the secret, okay, to send SNS or SQS messages, to run the AWS shell script, run a shell script using bash with AWS credentials as environment variables. Like this, we have so many commands here. You can run this PowerShell script as well. Run a PowerShell script that uses the AWS tools for Windows PowerShell module. If you have something to deploy uh, your infra in AWS with Terraform, you can always use this Terraform task to deploy your infra resources in AWS. So this is how we can integrate AWS with Azure DevOps pipelines. You can use all these tasks either in your CI pipeline or you can use the same in CD pipeline. Let me click any of them and see what are the options we need to provide for connecting with Amazon Web Services. Let me select the first one. This will pull the image from Elastic Container Registry. Here you will have to provide the AWS credentials. Okay, this is nothing but a service connection from Azure DevOps. Using that service connection, this Azure pipeline will connect with your AWS account. Okay, if you are not providing service connection, keeping this blank, if you click on this detail, you will see more details here about it, like how the credentials will be used. Okay, from task variable name, AWS access key ID, all these things will be taken. You can go through all of these in detail. So let's now go to project setting and see how we can create the service connections for AWS. Go to service connections and click on new service connections. Here you get an option to create the service connection for AWS. This is the AWS one. And if you want to deploy resources, infra resources with Terraform in AWS, you can select the second task, AWS for Terraform, and click on next. You'll have to provide access key ID, secret access key ID, region and all, service connection name, and you will be able to create the AWS service connection for Terraform. So that is not our requirement. Our requirement is to use this AWS service connection type to communicate with other AWS services. So let's select the first one and click on next. Here you will have to provide the access key ID. Suppose this is the test. These are optional, but if you have this and you don't want to provide these keys later somewhere in different files or maybe as environment variables, you can provide all of them directly here. Okay, you can. So this is my service connection name, and you can click grant access permission to all pipelines. If you need more details about access key ID, you can see all the things here. So if you are already working in AWS, you might have idea of all these settings or all the attributes which are being given here, like access key ID, secret access key, session token, and all. If you need more details, you can always refer the details section here, like the AWS access key ID for signing programmatic request. Example, this not needed when using instance profile. Like this, you have description for each of the fields which are mentioned here. Okay, based on this, you can provide the details. This you can get it from your AWS account. Okay, once you have done it, you can click on save, and this service connection has been created. Okay, this is the one which we have created. Creator is service connection type. If you will see all the user history here and approval and checks. Okay, now go to the pipeline and check if we are getting that. We are not getting that, so let me go back and add this task again. Now I am getting that service connection to here, so I have selected it, and you can select your AWS region where your container registry is there. Okay, so suppose your registry is in this region, and you will have to provide the repository name here. Okay, suppose your registry name is test reg, something like this. Okay, and here you will have to provide the image identity with, if you want to pull that with some tag or something like that, or you can select image digest as well. You can select the image tag as well. So if you want to download the image with latest tag, you can keep the latest, or you can specify the particular tag which you want to pull the image from. Okay, if you want to export these variables and use this later in your pipeline, you can always export it. Okay, so once you have added those, so let me, if you add this task here, this will add this task for you to create the image or to pull the image from your Amazon instance from this using this service connection and from this repository. Okay, like this you can use other multiple tasks as well. If you want to use different tasks to upload or download the file, so if you want to upload some file in Amazon S3, you can select the credentials, you can select the region, this is your bucket name, and you'll have to provide the source folder, which folder you want to update. So suppose your folder is source, and you will have to upload all the files, or if you want to upload some particular file, you can specify that in file patterns. Okay, here you will have to provide the target folder. Okay, so suppose you want to create this, copy this file inside test, you can copy it. If you need it more details, the target folder referred to as a key prefix in S3 in the bucket to contain the uploaded content. If not set, the root of the bucket is assumed. Okay, you can select the access control, like what should be the access control for this file inside that bucket. Okay, and you can select this create S3 bucket if it does not exist. If this bucket does not exist, then it will create for you as well. If you don't select it and your bucket is not there, this task will fail. You have some different advanced things as well, like what is the content type, content encoding, storage class, and other things. You can always provide that and add this task here. Okay, so this task will upload the files to the AWS bucket. Something like this. You have so many other files as well. Okay, to invoke AWS Lambda function, to deploy the Lambda function. So this is your region. Okay, you can select the deployment mode. You can select the function name as well. Where is your code? You can select the zip file in work area. If your code is in S3, you can select it and you will have to provide your bucket name, object key, object version, and all. If you have that inside your agent, you will have to select this and you will have to provide the zip file. Okay, once you provide that, you can add this task so that this will deploy a lambda function to your AWS instance. Okay, so like this you can integrate all of these tasks inside your Azure pipelines. That can be your CI pipeline or CD pipeline, and run all these tasks based on your requirement. Okay, so that's it from this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe my channel. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.